Hello and welcome to the November 1st Problem Gambling Treatment Providers webinar. I hope you guys are all having a good day today. Today's agenda, we just did roll call, and so we're going to do some PGS updates and announcements. A lot of the stuff will probably be reviewed, but I just want to go over all the different opportunities that we have available out there for you to participate in. And then we are going to do a quick review of our 2016 2020 work plan activities. What has been accomplished, what are we continuing to work on, and what are we going to be working on in the near future, so that you know the direction that this treatment system is moving towards and going to. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to go over these because I feel like I go over these every single month, but if you're unaware, we do have a family therapy learning session and forums that had occurred this past 2017. We have them each quarter, and we just actually finished up the fourth quarter last week. And I wanted to let everyone know that we decided to continue these family therapy learning sessions because they had been very valuable to a lot of our providers. So we have set dates for 2018, and you'll see those on the screen. Each learning session occurs from 10 to 11:30 a.m. They should be recorded and posted on the Oregon PGS webpage. Sometimes, I will admit, we forget to push the record button and we don't always get them recorded. But if you, if we didn't get it recorded, there will be a PowerPoint presentation that will usually accompany it that you could review. And if you did have questions, it was a topic that was really of interest to you around family therapy and you were unable to attend the actual learning session, you could connect with us here at the state, and we could get you connected with our facilitator, Teresa, and we could have her do a review quickly of what was covered and under the contract that she has with us. So those are options for 2018, something to participate in if you're interested. We also have what we call an advanced family therapy and problem gambling treatment discussion. We have one more date set in 2017 for November 30th, and then we also continued the service on for 2018, and you'll see those dates there. And there's CUs provided, and once again, we do record these calls, these webinars, and then they are also posted on the Oregon PGS call. So if you're unable to attend in person, you can catch them as a recording and listen to them later. So we're really excited about continuing to offer this. One of the areas that we're trying to focus a little bit of effort and energy on over these coming years is family therapy, and working towards our gambling clinicians becoming more familiar with family therapy, and also working on integrating our problem gambling treatment programs at the provider level with family therapists at your provider level. So it's one of our focus areas, so we're going to continue that. I also wanted to let you know around family therapy that we have been doing these technical assistance pilot visits, and we've had numerous questions and feedbacks on services to family members. One of our particular questions was what kind of assessment sample assessment form should we use on family members, as our typical gambler assessment forms does not really cover what we're looking for. So we brought that question back to Teresa, who is our family therapist that we have on contract, and our subject matter expert, and a small work group has formed to determine what we need to do as a larger system regarding, is there an ability to reduce the paperwork that we must complete to get family members into our services, because it seems to be a large barrier. Many family members don't want to go through the whole long enrollment process. They don't feel that they're the ones that are in treatment that need help. They need some help, but they don't feel like they are necessarily a client in the same way that we would view a gambling client. So we are looking at what can we reduce regarding the Herbert and Lewis paperwork, and also the process on how you do your client service records and charts and assessments around serving families to streamline that as much as possible, make sure that we're meeting the OAR administrative rules and all the data collection points that we need here in our system. So that work group will be meeting on November 4th, and I think after that one meeting, we should have some information and updates that will go out via email on some changes to our system around serving family members. So we're really excited about that. If you're not familiar, we have a new training that we offer monthly for the next calendar year, which is called Case Training. It's facilitated by Christopher Anderson. He was our keynote presenter from our 2006 Fall Gathering Conference that we had in the Redmond area. He conducts case trainings once a month for us, and it allows us the opportunity as clinicians to bring case scenarios, questions they have around serving their clients, things that you might take to your clinical supervisor, but your clinical supervisor may not have that gambling expertise, so they may not be able to provide you with the supervision that you're looking for. So this is a good opportunity where you can come and listen to different case studies that are done, present scenarios that you have seen in the past, and how and get a very perspective from a very experienced counselor. So those are offered on the second Tuesday of each month. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of feedback, so I'm just going to mute everybody for now, and then I'll unmute you just to make sure that our recording stays as clean as possible. Okay, so I wanted to let you know, if you hadn't heard, that we are collaborating once again with the Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling for a Focus on the Future conference. This conference is going to occur April 30th through May 3rd. April 30th and May 1st will be pre-conference days. May 2nd and 3rd will be the general conference, and it's going to be in Vancouver, Washington at the Heathman Lodge, which is where the conference occurred about 4 years ago. This year, instead of the conference planning committee seeking out people to present and using our expertise, knowledge on what we know that people know, we are putting out a call for proposals. So that is out. You should have received an email about that, and it is due back to the Evergreen Council by December 8th by 3:30 in the afternoon. So please consider sharing your knowledge and your experiences. Please consider putting a proposal together for a call for presentation. This is an excellent way for us to learn what other people in our field are working on, what they're focusing on, and what they've learned. And so the whole proposal talks about the areas of interest to us. And if you're interested and you can't find that email, let me know. I will be sending it out again. But otherwise, we're doing the call for proposals now, and the registration will open sometime in early 2018. So we'll continue to talk about this conference, not just about the presentations, but about how to register for it, scholarships that are available. And if there is any topics you'd like to see addressed at this conference, whether in a workshop or a keynote, or a presenter you'd like to see come and present that you saw at another conference, please send me an email and let me know your thoughts, because we are currently in the process of putting this conference together. So we are taking ideas and suggestions around keynotes and special workshops that you'd like to see. Okay, now this information is really hot off the press, just came through today. Wanted to let you know, and I don't have all the details, but we are going to be hosting a financial planning workshop in the very near future. It's going to occur on Friday, January 19th in Newport, Oregon. It's going to be an all-day training. It's presented by Brian Farr. For those of you that have been around this field for a while, you'll remember Brian. He used to be one of the presenters, I think, for the potentially the Lewis and Clark pre-certification course. Also was at many of our conferences. He is what we consider an expert in the financial planning and management arena around problem gambling. So more information about this will be coming very soon to you via email. But for now, if you're interested in that, it will be a free training. Please mark your calendars for January 19th. And we'll keep our fingers crossed for really nice weather for people to travel. All right, this too is not been announced yet, but will be later this week. But our next PGS All Provider webinar was scheduled for December 14th, but it has been rescheduled due to a conflict here in our office. And the new date is going to be Tuesday, December 19th from 9 to 10:30. So I will be sending out registration information about this provider webinar and the rescheduling of it, the new date by the end of this week, and we'll have an agenda out to you so you'll know specifically what's going to be talked about later in November. And then don't forget that we have our treatment calls typically every month, the first Wednesday of every month. So because of our All Provider webinar, we won't be having a treatment call in December. So our next treatment call will be January 3rd from 3 to 4. During that webinar, or during that treatment call, we're going to have a guest presentation by John Ackley and Julio from Bridgeway, and I am going to unmute them so that they can talk to you a little bit about what that presentation is going to be about and get you all energized for it. So I have unmuted you, John, but not you, Julio, because I can't seem to. I think you muted yourself. So take it away and promote this presentation.
Thank you, Greta. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hello, folks. Julio and I have been doing some research, and in doing our research about exploring money barriers, we've come across a new resource that we're just starting to delve into around using a particular credit card that has a lot of software features designed specifically for addicts and limiting access to cash, limiting access to particular venues, etc. We're still in the exploratory stage around this, but the initial look makes it look very promising for our gamblers. So I'm working with our company here, Bridgeway, to get authorization. We're going to try and get a demo card, play around with it more, and hopefully be able to present you with some very solid facts and figures about what this looks like. But it looks very well set up and like a potentially really great resource for trying to do money barriers with our clients.
Great, John. Thank you. So yeah, that's really exciting, and really thank John and Julio for doing this research for us and then coming forward and sharing what they've learned. It's always great to find new money barrier resources, so we're really excited to hear their presentation in January at the next treatment call. So information on the login and agenda for that meeting will be sent later in December when we have more of an idea of all the different agenda items. So all the information I presented today can be found on our training calendar. So you don't have to be jotting this all down. You can go to that training calendar and you will find all the different training opportunities that we have when they occur, and their login information, because usually they are webinars of some sort. And just want to put one last plug in, like I do every time, don't forget that we have these online trainings that Lewis and Clark has provided through us through a contract. This is a great opportunity for you to get your recertification certification hours to just review some of these online modules. Each module does provide you with CEUs, and this is also a great place for new providers who haven't been able to attend any of the Lewis and Clark classes or anything else. It's a good starting point just to review these online modules, particularly those people who are not always located in the Willamette Valley area and travel becomes such a barrier. Also, this is also another great resource to promote to your staff members within your agencies that are looking for free CEUs for their certifications or licensures, and this way they can learn a little bit about problem gambling. These are all different modules. They are not connected to each other. They're each separate modules, so you can decide which of these have the greatest interest for you or for your staff, and kind of market it to them. If you go to the Lewis and Clark webpage, it gives you a brief description of what each of these modules talks about and who is the best audience to view them. Whoops. All right. Here we go. So just an FYI, we have quite a large sum of funds with our workforce development grant due to some staff vacancy positions that were funded but not staffed. And so in order for us not to lose those funds back to the general fund at the end of a biennium, we had amended some contracts with our workforce development contract through the Oregon Council on Problem Gambling. So we have quite a bit of funds to use for some workforce development type activities. So we have decided, and it was also written in our implementation plan, that we would develop a treatment workforce development advisory committee. So we'll be forming that in the near future. That's going to be facilitated by one of the Oregon Council on Problem Gambling board members, Jeff Murata. So the committee will help develop a workforce development training plan for the upcoming years. It'll probably start out with them developing a survey that will be sent to all providers to get feedback on what type of workforce development they would like to see. And that group will then figure out come up with recommendations to take to the state and to the council on what they would like to see us fund with the money that we have, and what type of venue we're going to use, whether those meetings would be conference call, webinar style, or in person. So this is an opportunity for some of you to get involved. It won't be that these meetings will need to be in person. They will be conference call, webinar style. So if you're on the East Coast, or not East Coast, I'm sorry, well, even if you are on the East Coast, but if you're on the eastern side of the state, you will be able to participate and feel engaged and involved. So more information on that workforce development advisory committee to come in the coming months. Also, just wanted to reiterate that we have this new service through the helpline called motivational text messaging. It's text messaging that's available to the gambler, family members, and tailored to those two populations, and in English and Spanish. You can receive 2 texts a week for 3 months, and there are different stages that you can ask for when you sign up. You sign up through the helpline. You can either call the helpline or email them or chat with them on the OPGR webpage. And anyway, so I'm just encouraging clinicians to promote these to their clients, particularly if your clients have been in service for a while, because this service is now promoted to everyone who does connect with the helpline, but some of your past client or some of your current clients may have been with you for a while and hasn't been in connection with the helpline since July. This service did start in July and was started to be offered in July. So, and I also encourage clinicians to sign up themselves just to see what the messaging that you receive is like. It's just a better way to understand and to promote it to your clients. And then lastly, I just wanted to say that we do have now an OPGR Facebook page, and that page was developed with our partnership with the Oregon Lottery and is being monitored by the helpline staff. They recently just got trained by the Oregon Lottery on monitoring that and messaging through that. So if you're a Facebook user, maybe you would like to like that Facebook page and promote that to your clients and elsewhere. Also, for many of you know, during our transition here at the Oregon Health Authority to the new agency that's now called Health Systems Division, used to be formerly known as the Addictions and Mental Health Division. We lost our problem gambling treatment position over to the licensing area when they were looking at different functions and where people should be placed. Well, the good news is that we have now been granted a new position, and we are in the process of getting that filled. So this is going to be a policy and program development position known as a problem gambling treatment and recovery specialist. It does not have compliance attached to it. We currently have our position description up in HR, and we are going through the approval process there and the classification process. So we hope to have this position open for recruitment sometime before the end of the year or maybe early January. So stay tuned, because when it does open, we will be sending emails out to people to let you know when it opens. Typically, positions are open for 2 weeks. So I'm just talking about this in case you know people who might be interested, or yourself, just to be aware that there will be a position coming up in the near future. I can't exactly say when, but I know it will be in the future. And just to prepare yourself for that as much as possible, I suppose. because we'll really be looking for you to help with recruitment, getting the word out. That's one of the hardest things that we have in this field is getting people to getting the word around and then getting people to apply. Also wanted to share with you, I was out doing some technical assistance visits with our new protocol that we've designed, and I came across some new resources. I was in Polk County, and they informed us that the OSU Credit Union within their community offers classroom classes and online modules around financial planning. So you can contact that credit union if it's in your local area, and you can set up actually doing financial classes for your clients, or there's just online modules that are constantly available for your clients. So this is another resource that could be available. I also did a little research around On Point Credit Union and found out that they also have financial education services, and they have different types of education sessions that they offer. One was on the understanding and knowing bankruptcy, if that's the route a client's going to go, and others were about financial planning. Anyway, with On Point, they actually offer you you fill out a form online explaining your situation, and then they connect you with an actual counselor who sets up an appointment with you for counseling. So if your clients are members of these credit unions, those services may be available to them, or if you have these credit unions in your community, there might be services that are available to your agency to bring people in to do presentations, or you might have credit unions in your own community that you might want to look into and connect with, contact them, and see what kind of financial services they may offer. So just a heads up, just an idea. And the last resource that I came across recently was called Helping Partners in a Relationship with a Problem Gambler. This is a therapist manual for family therapy. So I didn't do a really thorough review. It comes out of California. It's a manual that they created for their system there. So just something for you to look over if you're looking for additional new resources and seeing how you can intertwine them into your services. Okay, so any questions from anybody? I will just unmute you all really quickly. Did anybody have any questions before I move on to talking about our success on completing our improvement plan? Okay, I'm not seeing anything from anybody. So I'm going to mute you all again, because for some reason when I talk in my mic, I get it, to me, I don't know if you guys are hearing this, it's like echoing in my ear. So, all right, looking over my chat box really fast, not seeing any questions, just people are really excited to see that Brian Farr is back out of retirement, which is true. I was excited too and shocked to hear it, and I'm so glad that David Course snagged him up. So I give kudos to David for doing that. So, okay, moving on to our improvement plan. So, if you're not familiar, we went through a whole process of community forums, provider feedback back in 2014-15 to develop what we call a 5-year system improvement plan for problem gambling services here in Oregon. This is the cover of our book. You can read the plan. It's on the Oregon PGS website. It's a very high-level plan of different things that we're going to tackle, different things that came out of our community forums, different things that you guys as our stakeholders and key informants told us needed to be addressed within our system if possible. From that improvement plan was implementation plans that were developed, 6 plans total, because out of the improvement plan were 6 initiatives. One was around collaboration, workforce development, integration, prevention, treatment, and recovery services, rural services, and funding and reimbursement. So all of these improvement plans and the implementation plans can be found on the Oregon PGS website if you're ever looking for a really lovely read. But today I'm just going to go over with you quickly because you guys are kind of the ones that oversee and make sure that we here at the state level are completing the tasks within this plan and keep us on target. I'm going to go over some of the things that have been completed since July 1st of 2016 because that is about the date that we started implementation of the improvement and implementation plans. So thus far in the last about year and a half, we have developed the treatment provider technical assistant visit protocol and processes. So because we are no longer, our staff are no longer doing compliance organ administrative reviews, we wanted to institute a new visit protocol. We thought it was really important that we had technical assistance visits out to our providers to learn what they're doing and to be able to share what successes they had, to determine what challenges they were having within our system, and from that information, we can make policy changes, system changes, or provide some technical assistance or resources to help the providers move things forward. So we developed that protocol. We have been piloting since June of this year. I think we have piloted on about 6 providers thus far. It has been highly successful. We pilot it and we kind of alter it. We get feedback from the agencies that we're visiting and trying to make this process as efficient and effective as possible. I think it's been highly successful, and we're still piloting it, but we hope to make it more of a mandatory thing, that each of our providers will have a technical assistance visit at least every 3 years. And so you might see that in your contract language in the next biennium. So, but these visits are not really compliance related, like it says, it's technical assistance. So we use a tool that helps evaluate where the agency feels they are in certain aspects of their program, and we have discussions around that. And then the hope is if we were to come back in 3 years, that the needle would have moved a bit from where you were 3 years previous, that you had made progress, and that we'd been able to offer you technical assistance and resources to help you move that needle. So that's one thing that we finished. The other thing we have done is we were going to research the structure and outcomes of other helplines and make modifications to our helpline service. So we did do that through a contracted service that we have with our consultant who's helping us complete some of the tasks that we need to get done while we're understaffed. And we did the research of other helplines. We didn't find a lot of things to change around our helpline, but we did make a few modifications to the data collection that were that our helpline staff do collect. And we did also, through the new contract, ensure that we have 2 helpline staff now always on duty instead of 1, so that if there are 2 callers at one time, the one caller doesn't get put on hold or get put through a answering service of some sort. And we also implemented that motivational text messaging feature this last July. As far as trauma-informed language, we did incorporate some trauma-informed language into your contract and service element language. We will be talking about that more in the coming months, about what does that language mean and what does it mean as far as what are you contractually held responsible for. I will tell you that there is a reporting form that is due at the end of the biennium around this, and like I said, we'll talk about this a little bit more, and we'll be also ensuring that we're offering some technical assistance to those agencies that are looking for some technical assistance around being more trauma informed and ensuring that the services that you provide are more trauma informed. We developed some infographics that can be found on the Oregon PGS website. Right now we've developed 2 different infographics. One is targeted towards the older adult population, and the other one is just some infographics that are around the treatment outcomes that are that we receive through our annual evaluation and through Herbert and Lewis. So those are some visuals that you can use in presentations you use, or in any way that you see, just things that we developed in the new infographic type structure that people are so enthralled with currently. We also, like I mentioned, developed the OPGR Facebook page. This allows us to have another venue to interact with people and get messaging out there. Another reason that this Facebook page was developed because there was a lot of treatment messaging within Facebook around seeking treatment. Do you have a problem with problem gambling? And in order to do any advertisements on Facebook, you had to have a Facebook page. So for the last few years, the advertisement that's gone on Facebook has had the Oregon Lottery logo attached to it because the Oregon Lottery had a Facebook page and they are the ones doing the advertisement on Facebook for us. So it was really important that we got an OPGR Facebook page so that we could change the logo that was attached to the marketing for our services to be that OPGR brand instead of the Oregon Lottery brand. So we're really excited about that. We also review funding and allocations for our system, which we typically do at the beginning of each biennium, and this led to each program receiving a 2.5 increase in their provider allocation. And also we looked at the Medicaid reimbursement, the CCO reimbursement level, and the fee-for-service reimbursement level, and worked with our actuarial department and determined that our reimbursement level was low, and we did increase that to 11% to be more comparable with those other programs. And lastly, we developed additional flex codes to provide us with some more detailed data knowledge. Instead of having just a general flex code, which we still do have, we broke these codes into little separate categories so we could see how our encounters for flex codes, what those encounters were really being used for. So those are the things that we've completed for the last 18 months. And here are the ongoing activities that we've been working on and will continue to work on. So we have been exploring and reaching out to the older adult population. We've been learning how to educate, engage, market, and how to best treat that population. We have had a small grant opportunity through Cascadia, who has an older adult specific program, and they have been doing some focus groups with those members of their system. We also have provided specific special grants to the prevention providers to work with the older adult population, and we are going to be working with the lottery in the near future on a research type study on how to educate, market to the older adult population. So we haven't really gotten too far into the process with the Oregon Lottery, but that is on their radar and funded for this biennium. So we will be, more information will be coming out about that study and that partnership with the Oregon Lottery. Additionally, we have developed relationships with the criminal justice system because one of the focus areas of our plans is to have a focused attention on the criminal justice population. We have been working with the Department of Corrections at Coffee Creek. We have in our system through Cascadia contracts, we have always had psychoeducation and some treatment options within the Coffee Creek Correctional Facility and the Columbia River up in the Portland area and Wilsonville area, doing some services to those within those facilities. However, we have developed a relationship with actual DOC staff, and we are currently in the process of surveying all of the intakes into the DOC correctional facility to determine, to gauge what the how much of a problem gambling is among the criminal justice population. So we're currently in the process of gathering those surveys. We are surveying every intake, every person who enters the DOC system for the next 6 months. So we should have about a study of about 2,000 people. So we are hoping to have those results back in early April. If it trends with the national trends, we should see that the criminal justice population is at an increase for problem gambling than the general population. So it'll be interesting to see if that aligns and our expectations are met. But either way, this should be some really good data as we move forward in working with this population and the subsets of this population and those that work with this population to have some really great data specifically about this population. We're also exploring the development of some core competencies for problem gambling treatment for within our Oregon providers. So a lot of areas of study will have core competencies, and we determined that there really wasn't any for problem gambling, and it was really it was a request of our Lewis and Clark educators that do our pre-certification class that it would really be nice for us to develop or to look at what the national has done or looked at around core competencies for problem gambling treatment providers, so that when they're educating the students in their classes, those that are engaging in problem gambling treatment early, they would know that these are the competencies that we want to see within our treatment providers and those that are getting certification. So that's something that Lewis and Clark is tackling with us here at the state. We're also in the process of developing an Eastern Oregon respite service out of New Directions Northwest. So we have that contract all set up. We are just waiting for them to submit to us some information on what the process would look like for referrals, and then once that is done, we can promote that to you guys as providers, specifically those in the Eastern Oregon area, as a new service. If you have a client who is needing to get out of their community, needing to get somewhere before they can get to a residential treatment facility, and things similar to that. And then, like I mentioned, we're working on reinstating our problem gambling treatment specialist position here at the state level. So the things that we're going to be working on the next things that we're going to start working on the next 6 months is, like I mentioned, we're going to do the development of our Workforce Development Treatment Advisory Committee. We are going to be putting out a survey to all of our providers, treatment and prevention, on the effectiveness and efficiency of our system. So we'll be doing a little bit of evaluation about what do you think about the different aspects of our system, the communication, and the different things like that, so that we can evaluate how Roxana and myself are doing and what changes we can make to do better services for you guys. Based on the information that we're receiving from our technical assistance visits, we will be developing a best practice resource guide. We were gathering this kind of information as we're doing these technical assistance visits with the discussions that we're having and the sharing that we're doing with our providers. We have gathered a lot of resources. We just have not put them in an official electronic resource guide version yet, but that's something we'll be working on because it is a necessary thing for just as a resource for our providers. We're hoping to partner with colleges and institutions, educational institutions related to incorporating gambling disorder education within their curriculum and what that might look like. We are hoping that we can get problem gambling information, gambling disorder information into existing behavioral health conferences where that's not through panel discussion, workshop presentations, or potentially being a vendor, exhibiting table or something like that. So that we have a standard process for new providers or new clinicians that come into our field. We're going to create a new orientation reference handbook and regarding our program standards and a checklist of things that should be covered by us to a new provider to ensure that each new provider or clinician is receiving the same consistent, constant information and not getting missed. So we're going to create that kind of a standard and promote that. We're going to look at the exploration of promoting and use of incentives for those programs that bring interns into their system to help expand those that may be interested in becoming gambling clinicians or working in gambling programs. We're going to continue our discussions of integrating the GBERT, which is the problem gambling version of the SBERT screens within our primary care homes and other venues and physical health facilities. And we are reviewing the information that we received from our community forums regarding rural treatment issues and system change, and figuring out what kind of services or system changes we should make around our services in the rural areas to help those areas increase their enrollments and have more sustained programs. So that's what we've been doing over the past 18 months around the treatment stuff. And I just covered treatment. I didn't cover prevention because you guys are all treatment providers, but more stuff has been happening, but I try to keep it as simple as possible. So that is my presentation for today. So I'm going to unmute you again and see if any of you have any questions. And I know I went over that really, really fast. So, but it is 3:46, so I guess I needed to go over that really fast. So, is anybody out there?
Yes, Greta, just wanted to say, just in regards to what you were saying about outreach to criminal justice, I've been doing a little bit of outreach to Marion County Work Release Center once a month. Hasn't really translated into any direct referrals or anything yet. And I've been trying to get in with our probation for Marion County as well. But again, that's been a bit of a slow process, just as trying to develop some education with parole and probation or something like that.
Excellent, John. Yeah, that can be, I admire your efforts, and it can be a slow process, but I know that you're making progress just doing that education and trying to get into those systems. So and I know that we're going to be coming out to Bridgeway to do a technical assistant visit in December. So we can talk a little bit more about that particular population and bounce off different ideas that might help you.
Cool, thank you.
Otherwise, any more questions? The last thing, I didn't have a slide on it. It would have been a great visual, but I forgot about it until just before this webinar. I wanted to let you know that the 2018 Problem Gambling Awareness Calendars that the middle school students develop for us each year has been printed and sent to your prevention coordinators in your county. So our process here at the state is all calendars go through the county prevention coordinators. So if you want copies of that calendar to distribute to your clients or any other activities that you're doing, or just to your staff, you need to connect with your prevention coordinator and request the calendars through them. And if they don't have enough calendars, they can request more calendars through Roxanne here in our office. So I know I don't have a visual, but I have to say Roxanne and I think that this year's calendar is one of the best we've ever created. It has a really cool theme that's a comic book look, a comic-like look theme to it. So our designer here does a really excellent job each year, but we think that this year is just extremely awesome. So if you haven't seen it, because it did just come out last week to your prevention coordinators, connect with them and get some copies. All right, any other questions, any statements, anything at all? I know I just wowed you all today. I'd like to think. Ha. Okay, well, if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Otherwise, I will let you go for the day a little early so you can get back to it. But have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the month. And I hope to hear from all of you at our All Provider webinar on December 19th.
Thank you, Greta.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Greta. Bye.
Thank you.